I'm Lauren with Pack Hacker, and in this video we're taking a detailed look at the NOMATIC method carry-on, which I've been testing for the last 2 weeks. Let's dive in. Like a lot of carry-on luggage, this is a polycarbonate shell, and it has scratched up a bit over the course of my testing. So you can see, let me bring it up a little bit closer to the camera. You can see down at the bottom there and then up at the top as well. I think this is a pretty common thing for like this kind of hard shell luggage, so I'm not necessarily going to knock it for that. But if hard shell luggage and you want to keep it pristine, you know, that's something to consider when you're purchasing your luggage. So the outside is pretty simple. It does have these like ridges here, which you can see that all of the blemishes are actually on the ridges. So it does elevate the bag a little bit and keep it protected. We also have a NOMATIC logo up at the top. And other than that, it's pretty simple. We've just got carry handle on one side and then on the top as well, in addition to a TSA approved lock. So this is pretty standard on a lot of luggage now as well. That same carry handles on the side. A lot of these elements are the same type of element that you would see on a lot of luggage very similar to this, but there are a couple things that make this one different. And by that I mean like there's no like padding or anything here. It's just kind of like a plastic that pulls away. But the biggest thing is, I would say this like carry handle here, it doesn't feel like it protrudes into the bag as much. It has a pretty thin actual telescoping handle, so you can see there it's not particularly thick. It is a little bit wobbly, but it's not anything like too crazy. I'll show you what it looks like when I actually like stand up. But the wheels themselves are actually really nice as well. So these are 360 wheels. They go completely around, and they do roll nicely over smooth surfaces. Some rocky surfaces, like the bag rattled a lot and it was kind of noisy, but it rolled smoothly. It was just, you could hear it. And I think it was between the wheels and the telescoping handle, it was a little bit like noisier, I guess, than other luggage that we've tested, but it still works perfectly fine. There are also 3 height adjustment points. There's the tallest, and then down there as well. So you can find the best fit for you. But other than that, it's really very simple. We have YKK zippers across the board here, so nice quality materials, and then an expansion zipper that takes this thing from a 39-liter capacity to a 47-liter capacity when it's expanded. This is the tallest height adjustment of the luggage. I am 5'6", so kind of gives you an idea of where this falls on me. I find the second adjustment to be the most comfortable, but there is a lower one if you do want to use that lower one. If you're a little bit shorter and you want to use it when it's rolling next to you. The tallest one though, if you wanted to kick it onto just 2 wheels and roll it that way, very comfortable to do so. But like I mentioned, it rolls very smoothly on, in this back area, it's just like basic cement, and it rolls very smoothly over that, but there's carpet directly in front of me, and it's a little bit harder to roll over the carpet than other bags that we've tested, in addition to some like rockier flooring on the outside of the building. So just sort of depends. And then this wobble is a little bit more wobbly than other luggage we've tested. Again, it feels very sturdy and well constructed. It's just a little less refined than other bags. If you're finding this video helpful, hit subscribe so we can keep making content to help you travel smarter. The outside of the bag we've already covered. The only thing is this expansion zipper. So this is the side where you actually see it. It's just a little Hypalon pull tab, and that opens and gives you, I think it's like almost 2 inches of extra space. I think it takes it from 9 inches depth to 10.75. So if you do use the expansion zipper, it is going to take you out of compliance of a lot of airlines. But without that expansion zipper, it's compatible on as a carry-on on airlines like Delta or Spirit or even Frontier as a carry-on bag, not a personal item bag. So pretty solid compliancy with that. Opening this up is just opening or disengaging that TSA lock on the other side, and then flipping it open that way. So again, a lot of luggage looks like this from the inside, so it is pretty similar in that way. I'm gonna cover this side first. So on the right, we do have a compression panel, and it's this kind of, it's like a scratchier mesh material, but it feels sturdy, and also it doesn't really need to be soft. Like, you know, you're not gonna be wearing this on your back, but it feels really nice. So this is actually, there's no like pockets or anything on this mesh panel. So what you do is if you wanna pack it, then you, this is a perfect example of what I was going to say, actually. You unbuckle it and then you flip it to the side. I noticed that because it's just these two little elastic loops that actually hook through. So let's say you wanted to remove it and it was like this, you would just feed it through and like take it off. I noticed whenever I went to go like flip it over, because this actually isn't that tall, I can really only get it like this far out of the way, or if I wanted to move it, I'd have to like move it there. Basically every time I wanted to move this thing around, these buckles ended up just coming out anyway. So actually what I ended up doing with this was I kept it without the buckles. When I was not using it, when I was just packing the bag, I put this off to the side. I'd pack the bag up, and then I would just lay this on top straight up and then just buckle it that way. Because it doesn't need to be fed through. The buckles, like this little compression strap holds it down well enough. So then when I wanted to pack, I just kind of unbuckled it and put it again to the side. So you can really do that with any removable panel. I don't know why I've never considered that, because they kind of annoy me when you have to flip them a specific way. I might actually just start doing that on a regular basis, is just like disconnecting them and then putting them off to the side. I don't know why it took me this long to think of that, but I thought it was a pretty fun innovation that now I can use moving forward. So thank you, NOMATIC. It works perfectly fine to hold gear down. So when I took this camping, which, you know, it's weird to take luggage camping, but I was testing it and that's where I was going, so it came with me. And I didn't have packing cubes in here. I had individual clothing items, but for the sake of this, I was able to get 4 days worth of camping gear or camping clothing in here, but because it was more specific, and I was camping in the fall, so it was like hot during the day but cold at night, I needed, you know, additional layers and things like that. I would say going on a regular trip, I'm able to pack for a week in this thing easily. I know on their site it says like you can get 3 days worth of clothing in here. I can definitely get more. And then if you utilize that expansion zipper, which expands on this side, you can get even more space there, which is nice. So 3 packing cubes and then a like kind of bulkier sweater fit really easily over here. And you can see here that there's actually no liner material. So this is actually just polycarbonate, just like the outside of the bag. And the nice part about that is that there's no extra like fluff in here. This bag is also pretty lightweight. It's under 7 pounds. So in general, it's a very lightweight construction. I think they do save a little bit of weight by not having that liner in here. The also nice thing about that is you can see it's a little bit dirty down here. There's some like, I don't know even what that is. I think that's like a little bit of grass. There's just some dirt, because things when you're camping especially get dirty. And it's easy to wipe clean. So I actually have a little bit of a damp paper towel here. And like if I just clean this up, it gets it over into one area. And then I kind of found it hard to get all of the dirt out this way. But if you just take a little vacuum to it, like you can just vacuum out the inside of your suitcase. And it was kind of nice to not have it like sucking up the liner material or feel like you have to tip it over and dump it out. So it was something that I actually didn't think I would care that much about, but I kind of liked that there was no liner. So something to consider. And I still felt like I had a good amount of room in here. I also didn't feel like, so I guess this goes into the other side, I didn't feel like my gear was going to be scraped up or anything. So on this side here, we do have it's that same kind of scratchier mesh material, but we have 2 pockets. I have one in here with a little fan because it was going to be pretty hot. And then I have my hat up in the other one. So nice shallow zippered compartments, which are pretty standard that you see in a lot of luggage. A little bit of like blemishing on the actual liner here, but nothing that's like too intense. It's just like a little bit mucky because I was in the great outdoors, and that's gonna happen over time. If you flip this open and unzip it, you can see all of the camping gear that I brought with me. So I have a couple lanterns, I have my hammock, I have my shower shoes, some aloe, koozie, you know, drink container, that type of a thing, my toiletry bag. This is another toiletry bag for like larger sunscreens and things like that. With this, I found, because you know, all of these little items are they're just by themselves, right? So they're just hanging out in here. They were banging around a little bit. I think when you have a liner, it kind of dampens the sound of the items inside. But with this, I didn't really notice too much noise because by the time I had everything packed in here, there wasn't really that much extra space. You can see everything is pretty much dialed in, so nothing was really bumping around. But if you were to have like these lanterns and they were to be dislodged, you can tell it's gonna make a little bit louder of a noise compared to if there was a liner, it'd be noisy, but I think a little bit softer because of that liner. So I would say that's really like the only disadvantage, but you know, I wasn't worried about anything in here getting scraped up, at least beyond what I'd be comfortable with getting scraped up, like just in general use over like the years of using something. So I felt like I had a good amount of space in here for everything that I needed for, you know, a long weekend of camping, but I could definitely get more items, especially once I start taking out the things that are just for camping specific. That's where I can fit more items like a tech pouch or maybe an extra pair of shoes or something like that. And that gives me a little bit more space to work with in this bag. So there you have it, the Nomatic Method carry-on. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel, and we'll see you in the next one.